dissolve between her and GELORUM at one point.
Yeah.
You do that little kind of whoop, and that was the same thing that they did between Leia and Luke in Empire Strikes Back when they're talking, when he's hanging on the thing and he goes, Leia!
Right, yeah.
It was just a little, instead of a cut, it was a little cross dissolve, and I always loved that as a kid.
So there's some type of connection.
I think there is a connection between them. I think there is something between them. Like, she's either connected to the drones, or they used her as a prototype for GELORUM. Do you know what I mean?
All right, welcome back. We are here with part 4 of the Andrew Duncan series of episodes here on the Square Corner podcast. Well, it's part 4 now, and we're going to be talking about Breaking Point a little, and maybe even Ultimate Race. How we doing? How we doing today?
I'm feeling good. It's been nice reminiscing about the Hot Wheels AcceleRacers, so it's been a real pleasure.
Oh, well, thank you. It's been awesome having you on. And I just can't wait to see fans' reactions. Hopefully you get to go in and read all those comments as well.
Yeah,
they're going to probably hopefully be pouring out all that love, like, what no way. So really looking forward to that. And to catch listeners up, though, why don't you reintroduce yourself for those that may have missed episode 28, 29, and 30, the first 3 parts of this podcast miniseries.
Yes, okay. Well, I'm Andrew Duncan. I was a co-director on World Race. I directed 2 of the 5 episodes. And then I was the series director on AcceleRacers for the whole series. And then I also directed Ultimate Race, the last one. And I was the voice of Monkey, and I did the mocap for Monkey as well as Nolo and Shirako.
Awesome. Yeah. Every time I hear it, I'm just like, man, you did so much on this project. It's just crazy. That's just so much work that you put on yourself. But
it became
really
a real kind of labor of love in a way. Like, it was one of those things where, do you know what I mean? I think because I got all these little parts, got to do the voice, was already going to direct the mocap. I was already going to perform the mocap. It just so happened I got to do the voice too, that it was like, it really was. It one of the most special projects I've worked on over the years now. I've come to realize. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Have you voiced any other characters like Monkey?
I've done, it's funny enough, most of the voice acting that I have done is this voice, basically, is what it is. I'm not changing it into anything else. Yeah. But, I did another character for Slugterra. It was in one of the seasons, and it was a character called Swick. And he was, funnily enough, a small little guy who was a bit of a wheeler dealer. So
Gotcha.
So,
yeah. No, love Slugterra as well. That was another good one. We could always talk about that another time, though.
Sure.
All right, we're gonna have to get into this breaking point, though. Literally breaking point. It's our first proper introduction of the Silencers faction towards the audience. There have been hints, of course, but now we are finally seeing their base of operations. But there's still pretty profound mystery about them. So who really were the Silencers? Were they just Scrim reincorporated, or a faction that splits off from Scrim, if we remember any of that? And now a lot of people now think they are in Europe, for example.
Yeah, I would imagine that they are some sort of a European contingent of something. Do you know what I mean? And the idea was to make the war, like, to make it a global kind of thing, not just North America centric. So there was that sort of idea. But whether they're a faction of Scrim or not, I'm not exactly sure how it was. We were just introduced to them as the Silencers. I know the reason they're so mysterious is that, we could only afford so much. So that's why they're all designed with those crazy helmets, and they all have those kind of weird things.
Nothing behind them, huh?
We had the body, but we didn't have, again, it's an empty head in there. Yeah.
Smart. It looks good. No one knows any better.
It was the best way for us to get as many characters in there and make it seem like there's a bunch of guys and then technicians. And then it was also kind of cool to have these weird one circle eyeball over here. And stuff
yeah. Those are fun.
They were strange. Yeah. It was just meant to kind of unsettle you a little bit. You know what I mean? As you're like, what is this? Yeah.
Yeah. So what were the challenges of doing the Silencers? Because they have that, Sheriff how Z36 transforms. They have that like weird line that goes through them, but they also have that liquid. I mean, that's a very interesting, animation type. How do you direct something like that?
It was a bit of a challenge too, because again, it was one of those things that when they were like, "Hey, we want to use like, T2 kind of chrome that can form into a vehicle and everything. And we were all just like, oh, God, that's going to be tough to do. So it was kind of a challenge in that way. And it took directing-wise, you had to end up cutting around a bunch of the stuff. You had to set it up, and then you had to kind of like cut to angles to show it kind of warping over things and that kind of stuff. We couldn't really create it all in one big thing, but yeah, that was mostly it. There was a bit of a challenge when they brought that up.
Yeah. I bet. It's like, hey, can you make Terminator 2 in CG? And it's like, hold up, do we have that tech?
It really is one of those things too, though, when you look at it, because there's like, you're always like, you're not always, but often you're sitting there going, the clients are asking for unreasonable things. But it is also the fact that they ask for it, which makes you strive to do something, right? You know what I mean? Like we wouldn't even have gone in that direction because it would have just been too difficult. Yeah. But the fact that they were bringing it up, then we had to kind of figure out ways to do it. And we ended up, doing a decent enough job on it, I think. But it was like, it's that challenge that they give you sometimes is the thing that you have to rise to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right on. And then what was some of the importance in showing off, real racing ideas? I think we talked about it a little bit, but like in this one specifically, you have hit the apex and the junk realm and then the drafting with the pipeline realm. What was some of that? Like, did that all come from Ian up top and stuff? And like, yeah.
It mostly was from Ian. Ian really wanted the show he wanted kids to walk away from the show or viewers to go away from the show feeling like what was happening actually could happen. You know what I mean? Like that people were following the rules of driving, even though we're in a fantastical place that has rules of gravity and smashing and stuff that doesn't necessarily align with that. I think he wanted that level of groundedness. Do you know what I mean? And to keep us from doing, again, too many wild things, right? So we tried to keep it somewhat grounded in the driving that was going on, but we never necessarily let that stop us from doing something cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Still Hot Wheels. You still got to make them.
Yeah, we still have to do some cool things, right? And some of it's going to be kind of crazy and maybe not real, but
Yeah. I mean, you had the huge magnet. I like that part where the magnet picks up, reverb and stuff, puts them in a trash bin, and then he jump jets out as fast as possible. It's just like, you can't really do that.
Yeah.
But it looks cool. And if you did have jump jets, that's probably what they would do.
You would, I saw you link something on about those cars, that little jump jets.
Yes, on those cars I didn't know if that would be relevant enough. I know I tweeted that out of some Chinese hypercar can now do jumps with its suspension, and I was just like, seems a little bit speed racer-y.
Tiny little jumps, but enough to keep it out of a pothole.
It's cool. It's pretty cool. Yeah, a little pothole got nothing on it. I thought that was great.
I thought that was neat. Yeah.
If anyone knows
there's the thing. You never know what's going to come up, right? Yeah.
Right. I mean, if anyone knows where that's from, I mean, you can find it on Twitter somewhere whenever this came out. This was January 7th. So if you find my tweets January 7th, you'll see what I was talking about. It's just crazy. So there is an interesting part in the mini-sodes before or like bundled with Breaking Point, which would have been the drones hiding in what looks like the Eiss realm, but like it's happening in the ruins realm. And I know partially this is all because you're probably sharing assets and everything. Where did they actually think? Did they ever tell you where the drones were actually being held or where they were actually staying? Because they're like, oh, they can drive now or something like that.
I think the drones are actually, if I remember correctly, and I could be wrong, but I think the drones are actually on Earth.
Okay.
Frozen, so they're not in one of the realms. They're in Earth and they're frozen. And then there's this one thing I think you can hear the horns starting to honk, 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 honk. You can hear traffic, and that's what kind of wakes them up. It's like, oh my God, humans have reached the point of being able to drive vehicles. Yeah. Now they're worthy of us to come out. So they've been hibernating till humans were worthy, or could get to the point technologically where they could drive.
Yeah. Okay, that was a good little note to add in there because I was wondering about that. I know, I always thought it was in the Eiss realm as a kid. I'm like, no, they're in the Eiss realm, but then I'm like, how are they gonna hear anything in the Eiss?
Yeah, I think they're supposed to be in the human world. Yeah.
All right, cool. Okay, so now a lot of people have caught on to the fact that Vert's dad has a Silencerz key in his briefcase, but at the time, that kind of Easter egg went very unnoticed the first time watching. What was it like knowing how fans have been able to go back and see things from this film that is almost like a new revelation or a new insight? It's like, whoa, they put that much work into this. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's the best part about these shows is actually that when the fans see into stuff, either that we intended them to see and weren't sure they would, or they see something that was never necessarily intended, but make a connection that you're like, I think they're right. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I think that might have been one of those things where just because he had that key in the first one, do you know what I mean? We used that key to design the silencer keys. Do you know what I mean? Like we retconned it is basically what we did, right? We made that key be the silencer key, even though originally it was just a key, I think.
Really? So that wasn't kind of on purpose?
I don't think that plan from there's something from World Race, the AcceleRacers, you mean? Like
no, it's in this one in Breaking Point, and it might have been. I mean, might have been a. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting his name off of the top of my head. What in the world? Will. Might have been a Will point. So since you didn't direct this one directly, he might have had that as well. Which maybe I can ask him that then.
You can ask him that. Yeah, I think so.
If that was intentional,
they might have made that call. But yeah, like so, I would do all the story stuff and send them the stuff. So I think we would have probably either, again, we were reusing assets when we could and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We might have made that call to use that key that he had done before and make that the silencer key so that he already has it. But yeah, there's a lot of kind of like, as you're making these things, sometimes you're realizing, you know, I mean, like we're making episode 2, but we don't have episode 4 yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We haven't seen the script for it. So as we're making 2, all of a sudden we get the script for 4 and we start going, oh, well, if we need that, we should put a thing in this one. Do you know what I mean? So a lot of times you're retconning even while you're making it.
Interesting.
You know what I mean? As the later episodes come out, you realize there's a thing you need, and you're like, well, gee, if we can show that here, it's going to feel like it's
really connected.
All connected.
And that's what a lot of people thought. And then there's also the point of, do you have any of I'm messing that up. Do you have any idea of what happened to Vert's mom? I know talking to Jeff, it's sort of left in the air, kind of left to be a mystery. There's no solid point. Was there ever anything that was told to y'all on her point?
I don't think we necessarily ever really found out about Vert's mom, but we were all under the impression that she would arrive at some point, right? It's almost like, it's like that thing, Chekhov's gun. You know what I mean? Once you establish a gun, that gun's going to go off.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like to have his mom be a mysterious character who we don't talk a lot about and we don't necessarily say what happened to her and everything. From our perspective, we were assuming she would probably, you know, if they were to make more AcceleRacers,
right,
that Vert's mom would somehow show up in that at somewhere, whether she's in the silencers, is she a silencer doctor or racer, or like, is she a racer? Is she a scientist? Who is she? What does she do? Yeah.
Right.
But we were under the assumption that we would find out. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And do you consider, and I don't know if you've seen them or not, the 1969 cartoon as canon? We have, according to Jeff, and this is kind of how we go with it's Vert's grandfather is Jack Rabbit Wheeler, or in BF5 it becomes more of Jack Wheeler is his dad. How did y'all's team look at it for AcceleRacers? Did y'all get that kind of chronologically with I know his parents? It's just such a weird topic and like niche, but it's also like kind of important.
Yeah, well, I think we would have probably tied it in. It was his grandfather in AcceleRacers, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So, like, his dad wasn't the Jack Wheeler.
Okay. But, we were wondering about that.
When I worked on Battle Force 5, what we used to kind of joke around is that, or I used to joke around because I worked on AcceleRacers. Some of the other people who didn't work on it, they didn't joke so much. But what I used to say is that Battle Force 5 is Vert's dad in the Silencers.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, if you think of his adventures in there, that's Vert's dad in AcceleRacers. Do you know what I mean? Because there's like, if you put them in the timeline, there's the grandfather, the father, the son, Vert.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Then it's like Battle Force 5 is the adventures of the dad.
Oh, okay.
AcceleRacers is adventures of Vert, the son. They call him Vert, but I think Vert's almost like a nickname that they get.
Oh, that's an interesting thought.
What I was always trying to say is that it's like, all this stuff that's happening here is just a different look, Battle Force 5, but it's basically his dad in the Silencers.
There you go.
Doing all that kind of stuff. So if you wanted to combine them all together, that's how you could do it.
Oh, that's fun. That's a fun little idea. That's pretty fun. I know some people are going to be like, what is he talking about?
Yeah.
That's great. Actually, that's really
But that was
cool.
how I would connect them in the shows, because when I was working on Battle Force 5, it was like, what happened to all the other things? Where did it all go? How did it all work? Why is it all this way?
Yeah, so. Yeah, and there was some things I remember talking to some people at Mattel, and it was just like, well, we pitched the idea of AcceleRacers again, and then they said we're just gonna keep the name Vert, and then that's basically what happened. It's like, oh, darn, damn it.
Yeah, I don't know why that decision would have got made that way, unless they had new car designs that they wanted. But I mean, the cars in Battle Force 5 could have easily been the cars, and you know what I mean? You could have
because some of them even share the same looks. I mean, I think the motorcycle even I think is almost a direct copy of the one that a quote unquote Wild would drive. And to the toys from 2005, there were some crazy contraption toys that we only briefly see in some images. I'm not sure. Oh, it was in a catalog, a Walmart catalog, and someone found this catalog. I have no idea how. And they're like taking pictures of all the pictures of the officially, was supposed to be for Walmart to buy, and never ended up releasing all the way through.
One of those like trade ones that came out ahead of time where they were like, this is what buyers can buy for this for the store. Yeah, okay.
Right. So what were, and we're gonna shift back in, and that's what were the challenges of this episode's realms? You have Pipeline and Junk Realm. Which one do you think was easier or harder?
I think when we originally thought about it, Pipeline was going to be the harder one. And then again, we did this thing, like I think I've mentioned before, we got Casey Kwan came in as an art director. And I think the other thing we did is we got the tech guys reworked the rig, the track rig, so it could work 360 around that pipe.
Oh,
so that allowed us to like just completely do all sorts of crazy moves inside that realm. So that brought it up. And then once they figured that out, then the pipe realm was actually quite a bit easier. I would imagine. I would ask Will though, because he was on the ground making that shit.
Right.
But I think it was a little bit easier at that point once we had the ability to move the cars up and down the sides, and they could go all the way around, and we all we segmented it all out into areas. So this is the area of pipe where the ramps pop out, and this is the area of pipe where it divides up into things, and this is the area. So it was like
there's the big ball with all the other pipes connected into it. Yeah, that's
and we had all these pieces. We had a left curve and a right curve, and in layout they could like plunk them all together. They would attach together, and you could have them rotate them around to get the holes where you wanted them to be and stuff. So there was
sweet. That's cool.
There was a lot of flexibility in the animation of that one, but I think the Junk Realm became problematic just in the sense of like creating all the junk. Because originally, again, it was supposed to be racing through not on a track. So we ended up keeping the track. We ended up making the track look more metally. Got a little off the orange, a little bit rusty still, but we kept it off that, and then that's where we added those big swinging balls.
Those little spiky balls. Those
obstacle,
are fun. Yeah, it's a fun obstacle. And there's actually a lot of monkey action in this one. We get introduced to Sparky, and where he's handling highly volatile fuel. Which I don't know where that bit came from, but it's really good.
That moment where he realizes it, where he goes, "Hey," and then he just dive and grab him away.
It's like, wait a minute, I did not think this one through.
I did not think this through. Yeah. Sparky, he's great. Yeah.
So what was your favorite moments, or maybe some of your favorite moments from him in this episode specifically? Because it's just such a good one.
I think he was starting to get into he was becoming a character of his own by this point. You know what I mean? He was truly more of a member of the team. Before then, he had just been the guy that would say something in the background. Do you know what I mean? Usually about money or something like that, or he's got eyes for Lonnie, you know what I mean? Kind of thing. He's always like creeping in the background.
Yeah, what are you doing?
You know what I mean? Hey, how you doing? But I think it was this episode was where he really came into his own as a character, I guess. Do you know what I mean? Where he started him and Pork Chop's relationship is really good in this one too.
I think. Definitely.
Because they go, this is where they take the tractor or the
truck, the old
truck
Smokey
into the realm. Yeah, because he had put the EDR in it, and then he finds out, it might only bring one driver back. No,
yeah. He goes, wait, maybe we should have rethought that.
Pork chop! Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. And actually,
there's lots of cool stuff in that one.
I love the song. Where did the awesome song come from? You know, we're driving old Smokey, pork chops at the wheel. When we hit the junk ground, we'll make the drone squeal. It's so fun. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. That was fun to record that too with David K.
Oh, I bet.
Because we were right next to each other. And I mean, I'm not a singer by any means. I mean, he's got a voice, right? So I mean, he's got a voice that can sound like a singer. You know what I mean? Like he can fake it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was fun to do that.
Yeah, that was good. And I know he even redid it on podcast. I was like, that's so good. He still got it. Yeah. He still got it. I'm just saying, he just still got it.
Well, and the fact that he can just go into that voice when he does it, because it's like probably not a voice he's done that often. Do you know what I mean? Because he's mostly, he's the HBO guy. You know what I mean? Coming up next on HBO.
Interesting. I didn't know that actually about HBO.
Yeah, he does a lot of. It's funny. Every now and then I hear I'm like, is that David K? I think he's the HBO guy. He does something else. I think he might be the Crave voice as well. The one that reads the following show has the.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we always forget that those are people.
Yeah, no, right. Yeah,
they're all going to be replaced by AI voices at some point. But I mean, it's like they're people now. Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I always recognize James Arnold Taylor when he does his the Fox ones, the Fox Stingers and stuff like that. So I always recognize that his announcer voice is pretty clear to me.
James Earl Jones used to do CNN. Yeah.
Oh they're fun.
Yep.
Yeah, those are good. Yeah, we should bring that back. More of that, please.
More voice actors.
Less AI. Sick of it.
Yeah.
Especially the I don't know, whenever you're watching like a reel or shorts or something, it uses AI voice. I'm like, ugh. Yeah. It's like it just sounds so bad. And I know it'll start getting better and almost unrecognizable probably, but I'm like,
that's the worst part about it, right? That it is just going to keep getting better.
Yeah, unfortunately. I know.
Yeah.
I was so upset when I saw Hot Wheels use it for announcing like their different cars on Instagram. I was like, guys, just hire some folk. Like, why are we using it? Yeah. Like, what are we doing? Like,
why? How much can it really save? Ultimately,
I know, and I don't know. It's just like, come on, like it sounds so bad, and it just makes the cars feel faker than they really are. Like, there should be real excitement about this, in my opinion. I'm like, these are real Hot Wheels cars that actually drive. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Get the most hype guy on there, like, right now. He should be screaming at the top of his lungs. That's me.
There's probably somebody out there who would love to do it. That's the thing, right? There's probably somebody out there.
You hire me. Don't hire me.
Don't hire. Ready. I'm AI. Make me AI.
That's right. Oh man. Okay, back into it. So there's also this bit, that they're in Old Smokey, and they crash into the sweepers right there. It's just iconic. Just boom. It's just the gasoline and everything just explodes tremendously. But what was kind of the treatment of the vehicles to the drivers? I know we talked a little bit about it, but like some of them just crash and get new ones of the same car. Others get different vehicles entirely. I mean, Old Smokey's an entirely different vehicle they never released. Some that go unused, like Drift Tech and Powerbomb. What was process like with Mattel for car deaths? How did they treat that?
That was kind of like the idea in a way, because they had each of the characters had a specific car that they were gonna, be connected to. Like Wild was very connected to his car. Torque is very connected to his car. That we would use these other cars. They had a bunch of Teku cars in design and not as many Metal Maniac cars, if I remember. We didn't have as big a backlot of Metal Maniac cars.
Interesting.
But we had I think 4 extra, like the cars that you mentioned there. We had a few of those, and then we had quite a few silencer cars.
Right. Yeah.
That were hard to bring in. So we tried to bring in a few when you see them in those early things when there's 3 cars that appear and then they race through the portal.
Mm-hmm.
So we tried to bring them in. But yeah, the idea I think originally was that the cars would get destroyed. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that the characters would have to get a new car. And that's how they were going to bring all the cars that are attached to the line, the new AcceleRacers line of cars, how they would bring them all into the show. So I think that was kind of an original intention, was that the characters would destroy a car and then get a new car.
Right.
And then I think there's some ways in there where production-wise it didn't work out. Like I think we were talking about with Baseline, I think with...
Like you just didn't have some of them ready, and so that's why you don't get drift tech. And I mean, high voltage just explodes pretty quickly. It just barely made it into the script, it feels like. It's like, he's there. He got a new car. He just built it in this nice intro, and now it's gone.
And now it's blown up. Yeah.
It's gone, It's poof. Now, at the end of Junk Realm, we get a sudden realization from Kurt that Marky is not making it out. What was it like to direct such interesting and impactful moments such as this? And, like, was the crew invested in it as well with these characters?
They were, I think. You know what I mean? Like, I think by then the crew were... Like, I think there was a thing in there whereas I think Marky was one of Ian's favorite characters. Do you know what I mean? And he really wanted that sort of arc for him. Yeah. But Marky became... crew-wise, like the crew working on him, they didn't really like Mark Wilde very much. Yeah. Because of his attitude, because of his all of the things that were designed not to make you like him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Do you know what I mean? And then by the time as it was getting there, you could see the redemption of him. You could see they now had figured out all of the problems, the things that made him that way. So he was becoming a sympathetic character to them as well. It's kind of funny. You see it as you make a show, especially a long show that takes, a year or something to make. Over the course of it, the crew and everybody working on it are the very first viewers of it. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're the ones that are... And then sometimes you're getting... you could have people come to you and go, I think this is a mistake that this is being done this way. Do you know what I mean? Because they're so invested in the characters now that they think this isn't the right thing. Vert wouldn't do this. Would Vert do this? Do you know what I mean? That kind of thing. And it's like, I always encourage that. Because it was one of those things where you can get myopic and kind of like, blinders on when you're doing something. You're looking so far down the road that you're just kind of like, you're just making sure everything is getting into it, right? You know what I mean? I'm getting all the pieces I need. And sometimes you can lose that context. So that was why it was always important to keep that perspective open with the crew, because they are also, like I was saying, the first audience members, and they're the first ones that are seeing this. They're judging on whether or not they think it's working. Do you know what I mean? So it's important to listen to them. And I think they were the ones at that point. I think it was in this episode, in the third one, where their attitudes about him changed, where they actually started to, you know what I mean? They started to like him, and they could... Yeah. And I think also the voice actor, he didn't get a lot to do with Marky, right? There was a lot of, I want to do this. I want everybody out of my way. You know what I mean? There was a lot of pushing and stuff like that. And it was a lot of antagonism. And I think once he got to do some of those things with the flashbacks, where there were like conversations between the two of them a little bit more, I think that allowed him. So his performance got, like in the third and the fourth one, his vocal performance is much more nuanced than it is in any of the other. In any of the episodes. I
always thought it felt better too, because he sounds more like he did in World Race too. It felt less of the very attitude, almost too much attitude for his own good.
Yeah. And I think it's nice in an arc sense. It's nice that way, right? Like he comes, he's like putting it on too much, you know what I mean? And then once he's becoming more, we were seeing the real Mark Wilde there, you know what I mean? By the end, right? Where he's talking to his brother with his regular voice. The two of them are kind of joking around a bit, you know what I mean? There's a little bit of that digging, and it's no longer like making both of them insanely angry because one of them makes a side comment.
So annoying.
Like, you guys gotta let it go.
Yeah, I know. It was so petty. Some of the stuff is just so petty. Oh my goodness, yeah, pretty much. Okay, was there any, and I'm going to finish off with Pipeline Realm since we finished that off. What was some of the fun things with Pipeline Realm? If you remember from like Tezla revealing and stuff like that, they're the silencers, blah, blah, blah. And he goes in the realm himself. Did you ever hear from that? It's like, wait, how did he get good enough to drive? Like, why is he keeping this so secret? Why is he not telling anybody? Gig and Lonnie are just up there like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's the thing with Tezla. Tezla is like a character who keeps his cards close to his chest. You know what I mean? And he's not necessarily, he's involving everybody just as much as they need to be.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Everyone knows
Mhm.
just as much as they need to know. Even Gig, you know what I mean? Like, and
Right.
what he doesn't, we find out he doesn't know. Gig knows way more than he thinks. Gig.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, way more. He's drugging him
It's
and
way
walking
more.
him around the
Hey,
apartment.
nabbit.
But
all right. Well, did you have any Easter eggs y'all remember placing in this one?
I'm not too sure about that. If there was anything particular that would have. That would be a good question for Will. We'll get Will.
Okay,
on.
for Will. Yeah, I know it uses some sets from Max Steel and stuff like that. And I know that happens a lot with production. It's like, hey, we already have a house on the beach. Use that one.
Yeah, especially when you have like if it's the same company too, right? Like if it's Mattel, then they're like, hey, like we have a back lot of stuff that you can use for your thing if you want. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, that probably was reused. Yeah.
Nice. Do we have anything else to add before we just move on into Ultimate Race and finish this thing off?
I don't think so. I think, by the time we were finishing the third movie and we started getting into the fourth one, we were starting to run out of money. Let's just say that. Do you know what I mean? Like it was starting, we were getting kind of thin. And what was kind of happening is we were getting I think Max Steel was starting up. Do you know what I mean? Like I think it wasn't starting up right then, but it was getting going. And what was happening was the better people from the AcceleRacers crew were getting poached to go start up Max Steel.
Oh, interesting.
Do you know what I mean? So I lost one of my editors who became the director, who was getting promoted to be a director on Max Steel, right? So I mean, he's like, let me off. I want to go. Do you know what I mean? He was ready to go.
Yeah.
And he was supposed to be prepping all of the final episode, putting together the animatic and prepping all the sequences and everything like that. So when he got moved off of the final episode to go start prepping Max Steel, so that they could go, because, they wanted to move all the animators from, AcceleRacers would end and they could all just move right into Max Steel without anybody losing jobs or anything like that.
Right.
So it was kind of like they needed to get Max Steel set up so that when AcceleRacers ended, they all had jobs still.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was important to do it, but what it ended up doing was it left that last episode 60 minutes. Like, quite honestly, I remember like Ian and them having conversations with them, and they're like, are we going to get to see that animatic? Like, are we going to get to see like they never saw more than 20 minutes of it. I think of that 60-minute movie. I think the first part with all of them in the Accelerodrome and they're all wondering what to do, that was all done.
Yeah.
It boarded out, and you know what I mean, kind of thing. But then all the action scene, everything that happens in when they attack the drone world,
right.
That was just a black screen. You know what I mean, in the animatic with the sounds underneath. Do you know what I mean?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they were like, without a doubt. I bet you, if you talk to Ian about it, it was probably one of the scariest moments in his. You know what I mean? Because it's the final movie.
Yeah.
I was like, there's nothing I can do. I don't have anybody to make the animatic. Do you know what I mean? I can't. Get it done.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to write that down for him then. Hopefully. That's an interesting question for sure. I like that. Oh, interesting.
And it was we were just trimming down. So then by the time it got to Ultimate Race, do you know what I mean? It was me directing it. And you're losing all of your other crew, right? Because you're like, you don't need as many people. So we've got, I think it was me directing, 30 animators. I think Sil was my editor. And then I can't remember, maybe it was Colin or somebody who was but I had 3 supervisors and an editor, and then I had like 30 animators. And then we ran it that way where people just called in with tests. Like, I don't know. Do you want to get into
we're going to go into that break? Actually, we're going to go into an ad break, and then we're going to go into this. So let's take a quick ad break for our awesome sponsor, Lap 24. Let's thank today's sponsor. Lap 24 Coffee powers the Squared Corner podcast. Lap 24 Coffee is a premier coffee blend for the car enthusiast that jumpstarts their day. Their best coffee blend is the Daily Driver. It offers a well-balanced dark chocolate flavor with beans coming from Costa Rica and Brazil, which comes in both ground and whole. Or you can try my personal favorite, the cold brew, with flavors like Drifter de Leche and Velocity Vanilla. Seriously, this stuff is good. Viewers of the show can use JayCee with 2 E's at checkout for 10% off. That's JayCee at lap24coffee.com. And as a bonus, you can receive a JayCee Squared trading card. That's right. If it wasn't good enough for 10% off, you also get a JayCee Squared trading card. So for any of your Lap24 offerings, beans or cold brew, go to lap24coffee.com and use code JayCee with 2 E's. Lap24 Coffee, the premium choice for car enthusiasts. Thanks for sponsoring the Squared Corner podcast. Okay, well, welcome back. We are here again, and Breaking Point, we just finished that off, and we kind of segmented a little bit into the ultimate race and just the challenges that this one's going to cause because of Max Steel and production and everything and all that juggling and everything. So, yeah, why don't you give us your perspective on that?
Sure. So what we got, I'll start with the script. So we got the script in, and when the script came in, I believe, again, this was... the final race, the ultimate race, wasn't going to be what it was in the show. It was going to be all the realms get mixed up. Okay, you know what I mean? Okay. So water realm and lava realm would be mixed together, or the swamp realm and ice realm would be mixed together. Yeah. So it was like there was these weird combos of realms that were going to be, and then it was going to be even a bigger challenge. You know what I mean? As you do that sort of stuff. But when it got to that, there was just no way we could afford to make an ice jungle realm, or you know what I mean? Like there was no way for us to take the elements that we had and combine them together. So then we pitched the idea. We had to pitch something back. So we pitched the idea of the racing through the realms, where they had to go through and race through each of the realms again. And again, that was one, because we could do it. We had all the assets. We had all the resources. We could do that. But then it also made that final episode much lighter. Yeah. In the regards that we were reusing all of our assets again. Do you know what I mean? Like everything that we've built throughout the series is now getting reused in the final episode, which was a nice way to add production value to it without it being expensive. Do you know what I mean? Overly cost.
Yeah, no, it was a smart move. And I was going to ask about that because I was curious, because of course there's a bunch of other realms that aren't in the movies that are sort of mentioned or created on the card games and everything. So I was wondering if that was supposed to kind of happen, or I really wouldn't have actually expected them to mix them. And I kind of like that idea a lot, which is kind of a fun idea. If they
was a neat idea. We all thought it would be cool, but it was just like, gee, we just can't, you know what I mean? We just can't afford to like combine these elements together like that. Yeah. So that's why it turned into that, race back through all the realms and adjusting kind of the story to meet that more. So, you know, so we adjusted the ending with the Acceleron when he comes up, you know, and then we took the thing, do you know what I mean? We took the line from World Race he learns. We put that in the voice of the Accelerons and how Vert had it, you know what I mean? So there was all these ways that we were trying to like tie the whole thing together.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's really good. And we're actually going to just get into this thing, you know, because this episode is the penultimate episode. It's the fourth one, the final one. I say kind of fourth, fifth. And it leaves everybody on probably the biggest cliffhanger, craziest cliffhanger of their childhood. This ain't got nothing on Between the Lions, because this one is seemingly permanent. Maybe. We'll see. So let's dive right into the ultimate race, which is beginning is Kurt Wilde and company are executing a plan to save his brother. Zero gravity is now a big hurdle in animation in the cosmic realm. What is that like? Do you think that was it easy, hard, kind of difficult? I don't know.
It was a bit of a challenge when we first did it. I think the other thing about it too is that the story starts in a micro episode. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And that was a little bit of a challenge for the final movie, because it was like the story started in a thing that we don't know if anybody ever saw it. Do you know what I mean? Like, who was watching the micro episodes? Are they watching the micro episodes? Are they on their seat waiting to see the next thing? Do you know what I mean? So it was. So there was a lot of. So we ended up using the micro episode as the title sequence.
Okay.
And recapping it inside that title sequence of what's happening and what's going on and how they had this extra plan. But there was a complicated little dance at the front trying to get all those pieces in there, because you have voiceover from Vert talking about how sad he is and all the ways that he failed. Then you have this Tezla and them remembering what Kurt Wilde said. He's gonna go back into the realm. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like there was all these flashbacks right at the very beginning and voiceover and everything. So it was a real tough one. I was happy when I watched it again that I was like, oh no, it actually makes sense. You know, it's not overly confusing.
Yeah, and I almost thought, I was thinking, oh, they must have just run out of time on the micro episodes and just decided to, you know, make it micro episodes maybe for Cartoon Network or something like that. And so they just rehashed the same stuff that happens at the beginning of the Ultimate Race. But it's actually interesting to hear that I guess the original plan was for them to start in a micro episode and then continue throughout the Ultimate Race, which is very that's a strange thought. It
was a neat kind of thing that it was like that you would create something, and I don't know if how much it got changed in the scripts, but it was something that happened in like the minor content that you were kind of like putting out to keep people interested in the next one coming up and the next one coming up. So it was like, you know, web-based content, I guess was what it was at the time.
That was big.
Right?
Oh yeah, that was big.
So it was kind of like trying to maintain that storyline, but then start off your new story. You know, like if you hadn't seen anything before, although why would you be watching number 4 if you hadn't watched the other ones? But you know what I mean? It's your own mistake at that point.
That's right.
But
That's right.
Yeah, if you don't understand what's happening, that's not my fault. But I think at the point where bringing the story in there, it was tough to kind of figure out how to work that beginning. And then it was kind of like, once we got the story going, and once we brought, you know, like the drones are now in the real world and attacking the thing, you know, Tesla's nightmare is coming true before his very eyes. It was like, at that point, I had gotten to this thing, was like, I wanted it to be very almost Die Hard, you know, like in Die Hard, how it's like, it's just a simple guy trying to have his day, right? So it's that's why Vert's journey is get from the top tower of the control room, get down to your car, which is over there. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I knew where his car was, I knew where he was, I knew where all the drones were. And it was just like, so when I went to record the mocap, I recorded him in different, you know, this is you at the top. All right, you've worked your way down the stairs. You know, maybe built some stairs. Now you're going to jump from here to here. Now you're going to jump from there to there. And then I ended up, because like I was saying, we were running, I had tons of the show that weren't boarded out. Do you know what I mean? That I would get an animator. I had this one animator who was relatively new, but really skilled. His name was Bez. And he was coming in, and we would sit down, and I would just explain to him what I wanted the scene to be. I would explain to him the stuff. I would show him the mocap that I had captured. Yeah. And then I would say, go out and get me that. Do you know what I mean? And I would let him go. And I had a few animators on the team that were kind of like that had, I guess they had a directorial eye. You could tell that they had a directorial eye, that they, even when they composed their shots, they were just composing them, right? They weren't just like setting up a camera and having the guy stand there. You know, the guy was like posed, you know what I mean? Right. Yeah. Composition in frame. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there was things like that you could tell that so when somebody had that sort of inkling or inclination to that sort of stuff, I would always try to, you know, enhance it. Do you know what I mean? Make it grow.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
That was how we did a lot of those scenes, was like an animator would come in. I'd be like, all right, start with a wide shot, then cut in close to the characters. And then, you know what I mean? And then I'd give it to them, and then they would go do all that. And then they'd send it in, and I'd be like, lower, move it to the right. You know what I mean? Let's get that tower in the background. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? That kind of thing. And just give them that kind of live feedback. But it was quite a struggle with 30 animators for a while there. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but it's cool. I like the idea. I didn't even think about it. It's funny because I was just talking to my dad about this, because we watched Die Hard over Christmas, and I'm like, man, Die Hard created a whole genre of movie. I feel like it's just that whole thing. Come to find out, Vert is a Die Hard character. Yeah. Let's go. All right, this is what I'm talking about.
I was like, it's just like Die Hard. He just has to get out. He just needs to get. And I'm like, I want it to be I want it to be practical. I want when somebody watches it, you're like, yeah, okay, he got from there, he ran down the stairs, he got caught, he looked, he could jump from there into the support beam between.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then that put him halfway to the track. Now he can jump to the track. He's got to roll behind something as guys go by. You know what I mean? It was just this sort of thing like, let's just keep him moving through the space because he's our only hero on the move at that moment, right? Everybody else is in the realms.
Yeah, they're trapped in the office.
Yeah, and then him and Sparky join up, which was kind of fun.
Yeah, that's a fun little duo. I know some people are like, "What is he doing here?" Well, it's almost bringing it all back because he brings it from ignition, and now it's sitting in his car.
Yeah. Now it's his co-pilot. Yeah.
Now it's co-pilot. That's right. And all he does is say hello and mute people, and that's awesome. Let's go. Yeah. That's all we need is play the music.
And he would have come in handy, I'm sure, Sparky, if we had done more.
Oh,
there would have been something else he would have come in handy to.
Oh, that's good. Okay, so is there any explanation, and I know we kind of went a little bit further, is there any explanation as to what that black hole area was? Or, because, two guys go into it, two guys come out of it, and it's just kind of like, what? That's where what are those things called?
Hyperpods, The hyperpods. That's where they get the hyperpods from, was inside that black hole. But yeah, it was one of those things that we were all like, it's kind of like, it never really gets like it gets a payoff in the micro episode. Do you know what I mean? Like they come out in those things and do something.
Yeah.
I can't remember in the movie if we ended up. I think we just like avoided them in the movie. We showed him getting sucked into the black hole, and we showed somebody going to save him, and then we just cut away to other things in the opening sequence, and then they were all okay. We just kind of
they were all good.
Cut out of it.
Yeah.
So let's speed through this. Let's not bring those things in.
We don't have that much explanation for the black hole anyway. It's kind of just there. They needed to get some hyperpods.
Yeah. It's like a microwave. Yeah.
Yeah. So why go back to Vert then in the ultimate race against GELORUM? I mean, he's injured. I mean, there was an explanation behind his injury with the whole the leg falling on his bike. And so he goes, he's not going to help Kurt. He's like, with my leg banged up and everything, I'm not going to go anywhere. And so he doesn't end up going. He just stays. But then lockdown happens, So what was it with Vert and, finally getting to that penultimate place of like, okay, this is where his character is really going to shine, hopefully.
Yeah, I think it's because it's like that's his lowest point at the beginning of this movie, is that he's at his lowest. He left because he was failing, and then he's come back to help because he thinks he can help, and then he fails again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he's at his lowest. So I think that's the kind of idea that Vert's, and he's damaged. He's damaged goods. He's got like a leg brace on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's just feeling sad and sorry for himself. So that when it gets to the point when Tezla and him are up on the top, I think, and Tesla's telling him to go. I think Tesla's telling him to go. I think he is, yeah.
Oh, take reverb, I think is what he was saying.
Yeah, Tesla's telling him to get out and go.
I've equipped it with this or something like that.
Vert's like, I can carry you. I can take you out of the suit and carry you down. And he was like, no, you must go or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that was it to put Vert in that position of like, now he has to rise to the occasion. Do you know what I mean? He has to actually, he gets rid of the leg brace because he didn't really need it. Do you know what I mean? He was using it, but he didn't need it, right? It was just part of him being sad for himself. Do you know what I mean? The leg brace was a physical way that he could be like, I can't help, guys. Sorry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think now that it comes down to it, he's the only one who can help. Do you know what I mean? And that's where Vert Wheeler shines, right? Do you know what I mean? It's like when it comes to the moment where he's the only one that can do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Round 2, here we go. It's all or nothing again. Which is great. I know. Oh man, I've forgotten to mention this in Ignition, where his car gets cut in half is like a reference to GELORUM trying to cut his car in half in the first one. And they do it in the second one. Again, good irony, good kudos. The callbacks is just crazy.
That would have been a lot of that's probably Ian too. Like he was bringing back a lot of those sort of things. He wanted things to connect and stuff. So smart.
Yeah. Love it. What other realms would you have liked to see make it into the film, or were there any plans for more, or anything like that? I know we did talk about a little bit like the crazy realms, but like just maybe like normal realms, like Solar Realm. I know is heavily mentioned. Everyone loves that one because it doesn't make sense because there's a circle and the circle becomes the ultimate race. The lore guys are gonna get mad at me. Micro Realm, Chrome Realm from the trading card game. Were there anything like that you would have liked to see or that was planned?
Well, I'm just trying to think too, like if they had shown us, they basically a lot of times just kind of told us the ones that we were getting, I think. You know what I mean? Like this cavern realm this time, and it's that kind of thing.
Right.
But there was, I remember at one point there was like all the symbols that are on the wheel, you know, that are on those things. I think it was this, like there was there was a realm for every one of those symbols, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And whether or not we had, there was one that was going to be like it was like you were a toy size, like you were a Mattel
the micro
car.
realm.
Yeah, the micro realm. Yeah, there was that one. We all really liked that one. We kind of thought that would be a cool one to do. Except for that, it kind of busts these things. We were like, why is it a human bedroom? And why is it? You know,
but it's a Hot Wheel, right?
It's a Hot Wheels car. Yeah. So there was that we wanted to do. There was talk about doing that at one point, and then it would be that thing that you would start off, like the race would start off on the top of a bookshelf on the orange track, and everybody would race down the thing, and you know, like
interesting, yeah,
the old grip that you used to use, the little clamp that you used to use to attach a track to something.
Yeah.
That was all going to be there. We were going to do all that kind of stuff and have the classic loop-de-loops and that, and have some of the toy things in there, like, you know, so it was going to look like a kid's toy room. Do you know what I mean? With all these with the most impressive Hot Wheels track you've ever seen in your life in a kid's room.
Yeah.
That was going to be one of the realms. That would have been a good one, we think.
Yeah, it would have been, and it also would have also answered, or I would say not answered, it would cause a lot of questions. Like, what's
that
going
was the
on
thing,
here?
is we were like, is it a human thing? Is it not a human thing? Or like, we were wondering,
no, it's an Acceleron bedroom. It's fine.
Yeah, like an alien bedroom. Do you make it an alien bedroom that has all these little tracks and everything? And then there's like what looks like a dollhouse, but it's this little spaceship or something. Yeah, so they could have changed into that too, but.
Oh, that's fun.
That was one that would have been fun. I think everybody was looking forward to something like that, where it was like they were actually going to look like Hot Wheels. And then we were talking about doing some tilt shift kind of thing, as if we can, you know how they do that tilt shift thing where it makes you had a construction site.
Yeah, it makes everything look like toys, even though it's real.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
I think, could there be something we could do with that? Because I think the tech guys were thinking they could do it in code. You know what I mean? Do that tilt shift in code, kind of, to a certain extent.
Oh, interesting, yeah.
But we never got there.
Oh, well. Did you ever do any of the bonus content, like direct any of that, where, you know, Vert's going through the realms and it's giving you questions, you know, the DVD questions and stuff, or is that like on a different team?
We did that. Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, we did that whole thing, on the DVD where it was we did that, yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
All the extra little bits.
Did you come up with that script, or did they give you that script? I know it's kind of like
silly stuff. I think they gave
us
that. Yeah, they gave us that, and then we went, because I remember we did it a little bit afterward. You know, we were still making probably Ultimate Race, but it was almost done, and then we went and did a little mocap shoot again for that kind of thing, and I remember that being kind of fun. Yeah.
Oh, sweet, that's fun. Yeah, it's a little fun little sequence, and I remember when I found it at first, I was like, "There's more, just a little bit more, please,
just a little bit more." Yeah.
I love that. I guess. Oh, where was I? Dang it, my head went in the wrong direction. Oh, yes. What does the machine actually do that turns Kadeem and later Marky into Dronez, or at least the arm that Marky gets? Does it actually erase a part of them? Is Kadeem really gone?
Yeah, see, I think Kadeem has been he's affected. I think he can get brought back. Do you know what I mean? That was always our big thing, is the redemption of Kadeem would be something. And I think it's like one of those things. I think it's the drones trying to get over that thing that a drone can't take it, the wheel of power a human has to take.
Yeah.
So I think it's them trying to make this hybrid, drone-human hybrid kind of thing that then will be able to take be a human and a drone, and then ultimately defeat so I think that's their new thing, as opposed to just creating new drones. It was supposed to be creating new kind of human drone operatives. You know what I mean? That can
dark. That's pretty dark for a kid's show, but it's
again,
it's pretty neat. It's pretty neat, actually. That was a pretty smart way to go around that whole rule of the human thing. I didn't even think of that before.
So I think that was the idea of it. That it was like they're using these. They're changing some humans into human droid. Or not droid, sorry, drone.
Drones,
hybrids.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I guess do you think Marky would ever get affected, or do you think he's just got a cool new arm and that's it?
I think if it had went further, right? Like, I think if it had gone further down the line, he would have probably been, as affected as Kadeem is. Kadeem's been brainwashed to a certain extent, I think.
Okay, interesting.
You know what I mean? And I think it's in the eyes, right? You know what I mean? He gets those green colored eyes.
Right.
And Marky does. Marky doesn't have those. Marky hasn't been infected or trapped there as long as Kadeem. So Kadeem is under more influence.
Oh, that's interesting. I like that. That. Thank you for that answer, actually. It brought a lot of thought into that, because I wouldn't even have thought, because that now makes way more sense how they were able to take the Wheel of Power at the very beginning of Ignition. I'm like, how does that happen? That makes so much more sense now. Okay, cool.
Okay, good.
Okay, there's another crazy question, and that's, who is Karma Eiss? Because I saved this one for last, because her actions all the way leading up to Ultimate Race have kind of, become this whole perfection. Even the drones think she's a GELORUM, for example. A lot of people think that maybe she's some type of clone of GELORUM, or maybe she was a GELORUM model, because GELORUM's, also got that blue version of herself. Do you think, was it maybe hinted at that she's supposed to be a drone in disguise? Because she senses the whole thing, the whole plot to kill them.
Seems to have a connection with them. Right. We did a thing, too, where we did that, we did like a cross dissolve between her and GELORUM at one point. Yeah. We do that little kind of whoop, and that was the same thing that they did between Leia and Luke in Empire Strikes Back when they're talking, when he's hanging on the thing and he goes, Leia!
Right, yeah.
It was just a little, instead of a cut, it was a little cross dissolve, and I always loved that as a kid. So I was like,
add that.
I put that in here. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
So there's some type of connection.
I think there is a connection between them. I think there is something between them. Like, she's either connected to the drones, or they used her as a prototype for GELORUM. Do you know what I mean? As a human model for GELORUM. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's either something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and a couple, a lot of people were always speculating, because obviously, they changed from the orange to the green. Maybe and we even see one of them gets re-implement, like he has his chip taken out and put into a new unit or something like that. So we're always thinking, oh, maybe there was another GELORUM model, especially with how she was in World Race. Now she's green.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like, it's not too big of a deal if you're a droid or drone putting, chips and stuff. So that's actually a really neat thought about that. So hopefully that answers some fan questions about Karma. I know that's... Maybe
we would have found out more. Like I keep saying, is like that's the kind of thing. Is I think there was a plan to figure out more with her ultimately down the line, but just never came.
But everything got scrapped. But everything got scrapped. What did the Accelerons give Vert? I know it's later stolen by the Silencers, but what exactly was it supposed to be? The circle, wisdom is a circle, and they were starting to add it to the Wheel of Power. Was it supposed to get them to go directly into the Acceleron? I know that's what most people probably think, and probably what y'all are gonna do. But did they ever tell you that?
We never knew exactly for sure, but what we did know what it was, it was a fourth ring to be added to the Wheel of Power. So it was like, it was gonna open up, combo lock, open up even more things, right? So with that extra ring, we would lock in on something. Like, let's say it locks in on the swamp realm, and then this thing comes and gives it this added element.
Interesting.
So I think they were, I said we couldn't let them do the combining of the realms.
Yeah.
I think that's what they were planning on this thing to do, would be... Because after a while, you kind of run out of realms, right? They kind of run out of things to do, right? There's ice, there's fire, there's...
Yeah, but the mixture is so fun. I kind of like it. I like the idea, actually.
So I think that's what it was going to be. That other ring was going to get added on, and then it would, it would go through and search for the new realm, and then this fourth one would go on, and it would add some sort of...
Interesting.
It was either going to add some sort of element to it, or add some sort of extra challenge inside the realm.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it would amp it up in some way. So if you think of it, that ring had all these challenges on it, or all these extra things on it, so that whatever realm it picked, this other fourth ring would then boosted up in some way.
Boosted up, yeah. No, I like that. I like that. Yeah, because especially if they've already mastered the other ones, what do we do? Up the ante.
And apparently they've driven through all of them, right? Because they opened them all up by that point. Yeah.
Yeah. At
Even
some
though we've
point,
never seen all of them, but yeah.
Yeah, or something. I mean, I think Vert goes. You know, some of these I haven't seen before, so it means previous before Vert joins the crew. Tezla's crew anyway.
Going through some stuff. Yeah, and it's like, I guess they just never ended up winning enough to get an AcceleCharger before Vert and them arrived. Yeah.
Man, that's terrible. That's horrible.
Yeah. The wrong crew.
Wrong crew, that's right. They didn't have that crazy rivalry between two street factions, a street war. That's what you needed.
You needed that. You needed them to hate each other to win. Yeah.
Okay, where do you think the teams would have gone after they blew up the Accelerodrome? Do you think Gig survived?
Yeah, I wonder if Gig survived. I would say no. I would say Gig doesn't survive. But I think it was like, I kind of like the way we divided it up. I think Lonnie and Tezla were going to be alone for a while. Not like they were going to race off. They don't connect with everybody right away.
Okay, yeah.
And then I think, I think if it had been divided into 4 other movies again, in that first movie, the first movie back would have been all of the guys looking for Vert. Do you know what I mean? Trying to figure out where Vert is, going to the new place. They were going to go to Pork Chop's mother's junkyard.
Yeah,
Mama
okay.
Chop.
Oh,
you know what I mean? So that was going to be their new base. They were going to hide out there because they had to hide from the silencers and everything.
I was wondering about that,
Yeah, they were going to look for, they're still going to look for Vert because he's their team member who's missing.
Right.
And then I think it would be at that point, Lanny and them would come back in to the thing to give them access to the realms again.
Okay, so they would probably come in
by the end. By the third of the thing, and then probably at the end of that episode, we would have saw where Vert is.
Oh,
and then the second episode would have been Vert. Probably.
Yeah, I like this idea. Actually, that makes a lot of sense too. So that going into hiding, we've already set it up. Go into hiding, Mama Chop's place, nice little scrapyard, very cool. And then you have Tezla and Lonnie go on a spy mission to go infiltrate the silencers. Maybe,
and that's where you find out a bunch of the past, right? Do you know what I mean? Tezla
yeah.
would tell Lonnie the past. Like, I used to be part of this organization. I used to be part of this stuff. Yeah. We'd see flashbacks. We'd see Tezla and Vert's dad. Do you know what I mean? We'd get that connection hooked in there, that kind of stuff. We'd see
we get to see the part where they're yelling at each other before Vert comes in at the end of the world race.
And they all pretend to be nice. Oh, hi.
That's right. Oh, yeah, hi, yeah. I don't know what this button does. I know exactly what it
does.
Yeah,
I don't know. Tell me. And he looks at Tezla.
That's right. Yeah, that's good. Oh, man. There's AcceleRacers 5 for you guys.
There you go, yeah. And then I think it was going to be just an escalation of the things, bringing those teams together, bringing, like, the new Teku Maniacs or whatever you would call the combined team.
Yeah.
And then bringing them together with the silencers, Vert and the silence. You know what I mean? Vert would start the race with the silencers, I think. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? They'd be
that
going
was kind of hinted at with the
Our
toys.
Team would be going into realms. Yeah, and then they'd meet up in the realms, obviously. And then that's where I was always hoping to bring Banji Castile back in. Do you know what I mean? Him and his, they just come across this group of guys on the tracks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That have either like augmented vehicles or they're driving, augmented, what are those, hyperpods or whatever. Yeah. You know what I mean? They're driving one of those things. You know what I mean? They've got that and they're all kind of like, they're kind of Mad Maxy or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You get them, bring them in and then, they get to rescue them, take them out of the thing. They become the stuff. Banji goes to the silencer side, which then gets in that car later.
Right.
But yeah, I think that's kind of from what I remember of the early kind of like premises and stuff that I had read. I think it was something like that. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I love it. Hopefully, I really hope, and I know they have a script 5 somewhere from what I've heard. I hope they're able to release it. Please release it. Just let us read it. If you're not going to release the movie, just let us read it at least and see if we would have liked it.
Let's get a bunch of voice actors together and we'll do the voice record for it. You know what I mean? Like like a radio play, even just a radio play of it.
Yeah. Are you kidding me? I would love that.
And then give it to the fans. Whatever. Fans can put images to it. Yeah.
I mean, you've seen it. People are already animating another one called Fog Realm, another fan film there. So, looking very forward to that. Vulcan's doing a really good job, JMS and all of them. So yeah, it's exciting, honestly, because now it's like, okay, you've inspired all of these guys now that are now in their 20s to like start animating, start picking up voice acting, start doing all these different things. And it all came from a silly little Hot Wheels movie is what it feels like to most people. If they're looking from the outside, they're like, Hot Wheels? What kind of show would Hot Wheels have? Like that would inspire you and stuff like that. But it's like this one, that one's really good.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, honestly, it was like making that final movie was the hardest thing. Retrospectively, looking back at it now, 20 years later, I can easily say it was the hardest thing I'd ever done. It was the hardest that I had ever worked on something. But it is also the one project that I've had the most feedback from fans on over the 20 years. Do you know what I mean? And it's kind of funny how those two things sometimes tie together, right? And it's like, I wanted to make this thing, and I wanted to make it as good as I could. It was my first chance at being in charge of 4 movies. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was like, it was really important to me to make it good. And it was hard to get it done. And I think by the end of it, I was so burned out by the end of it. But ultimately, it really is one of the it's the one project I've worked on that's got the most positive feedback from fans over the years. So it's a testament to that, I guess. So
it's
hard
awesome.
work can get you something anyway.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. And I know one of everyone's favorite shots is Nolo puts his brother's necklace on the Highway 35 sign, kind of signifying, number one, they put the Highway 35 sign up, and then they put the necklace on. So now they're completing the arcs from both World Race and AcceleRacers all at once in just one shot. I mean, that's so smart. Just to have
that's awesome.
All of that is just so good. Because that's where it all began. I mean, the whole Highway 35 thing.
I'm glad you guys all.
How fun was that?
You know what I mean?
Like, was that in the
the
script?
Fact that everybody sees that is great. You know what I mean? Like that's what makes it rewarding in the sense that it's like. And it's funny. I was watching that again, and I remembered it was this thing like the animator who was doing the shot, hanging the T up on the sign, and it was just this thing, and the T was just at the bottom of the frame. You know what I mean? And it wasn't totally a T. The bottom of the T was cut off.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just one of those things that was like, widen that out or like tilt down. And it was like, honestly, it was really weird. There's like 3 or 4 tests to get that framing of that object right. Because I was like, it needs to read as the T on the sign in the wide shot before we cut in close, right? Because what was happening is you weren't reading it. You were seeing the sign and the necklace was dangling too far down or something.
Okay.
And it was funny, as you mentioned it, I totally remember that. There was multiple tests on that shot just to make sure that the T is visible in the wide shot when he's hanging it up, so that when you cut in close, it means something more as opposed to just showing you it closer. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, awesome shot, awesome scene, and I know it brought everything back together at the end there, and then we get the whole Vert. Oh man, the worst. Again, one of the worst cliffhangers I think in the history of animation and just shows in general. You leave Vert, you get him in the bad guy zone. He's there, and he's like getting, all messed with. They're taking Sparky out. He's trying to hit the EDR. He misses the EDR. They take him out before he can hit it. Okay, number one first. Why is he how did he end up in the silencers? Because I know we talked a little bit about that portal thing. Was this just kind of one of those things in the old script, or like how they thought about the portals that was just like, well, there now, I guess. Or maybe, oh, no, wait. I forgot. Was it because he had the Wheel of Power? Maybe that's what
I'm trying to think. I think it's something, because we had that same discussion on terms of like, why does he go there, right? We never seen him go there. Normally, because doesn't he go, like he races from the Accelerone, goes through the portal, and then comes out of the portal into there.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right. So he
maybe
never
it's just
actually goes into a realm.
An open portal that was available at the time. It was just an area that it was open.
Yeah, or it's either related to the object he has with him that they steal, that extra ring brings him there, or there's enough of those guys that were hiding inside the Accelerone that one of them could have put a transponder or something on it.
Oh, that's a good point.
What I mean?
I didn't think of that. Yeah,
just bring him back to where we go, right? You know what I mean? Make him one of our cars, or make this car one of our cars. But
right. I hadn't thought about that before. And I know in the track set, explain it, but the wheel blows up or whatever in the track set. So I guess now you finally get to put the track set all together and like, yay, you get it. Boom.
Yeah. Explode. Yeah.
Exactly. And so now we see the last two lines is Vert and then Dad, and that's it. And then it cuts the credits, and everyone's just like, "Where's the next one?" Yeah. There is no one. It's always so heartbreaking.
Need to talk too. I think he did. We need to talk.
Yeah, our son, we need to talk. Sorry.
Yeah, son.
Sorry, I did it wrong.
I did it wrong. Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's something like that. I've just watched it though. I only watched it 2 days ago, so that's why I remember.
There you go.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we don't like. We were all ready to do more. Do you know what I mean? And it was like I said, I was tired, so I was ready for a break afterwards. But I mean, I would have done if they had 4 more ready to go after Max Steel.
Right.
You know what I mean? We would have done
a year break. Yeah.
Yeah, because that would have been more than enough time to have a break. You know, what I mean, I would have worked on other things, but yeah, I would have went back.
You know, okay, we're not. You know, because I mean, they give you a script that ends on a cliffhanger, and then they don't follow up with any of it. You know, they never come back and be like, well. Here we go. Now we're actually going to do this thing. And then they never do that, apparently. You know, they never come back to y'all. It's just, was it complete silence? Or was it like, did y'all ever hit them up, say, hey, did you want to finish this? Or anything like that?
I don't know what they did on the executive side of things, but. And then the fact that it didn't come back to mainframe, that, you know what I mean, that it was like another company, Nerdcore, that ended up doing Battle Force 5. Doing the next, you know what I mean, the next Mattel thing. Mm-hmm. And that might have been one of those things, where, you know, from a corporate strategy where they wanted to diversify their vendors, let's say. Do you know what I mean? Like, so let's not have all of our material being done by one studio. Let's, you know, give this studio Hot Wheels, this studio Max Steel, give this studio Barbie, give this
y'all got Barbie, so I mean...
Yeah, what else?
I'll have like all the Barbie movies. Like there's like
well, they made Barbie movies for 20 years. I think I think I was involved. I did the test for the first Barbie movie when I was there. Like, you know, when they were pitching for it, I did this test with Barbie as a ballerina, and that was the thing that got the job. But I never ended up working on any Barbies because.
Okay.
Like I'll stick with the boys' action stuff.
Yeah, well, I had to watch it as well. I knew about it. I have sisters, so I mean, it just happens. And then they watched my stuff, and then they ended up liking my stuff, and I was like, "It's pretty good, isn't it? It's pretty good."
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I guess that answers the why was AR canceled. On your end, it's kind of like don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be something to do with, you know, like the corporation didn't, you know what I mean? Like, did it do as well when it first came out? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Did it do better than World Race? That's what I'm not sure.
Did you ever have like any initial reaction from them to the films? Did they ever go, wow, this is like the greatest thing, and thank you so much? Or was it just like, all right, you know, we made a business decision and here it is?
Yeah, they seem to like it. It's funny, the World Race they liked more, I think, than AcceleRacers. I don't think they liked the tone, quite honestly. I think the darker tone wasn't where they wanted to go, I don't think. And they gave it a try. And I think it was probably something to do with the tone, but I don't really know. Again, that would be a good one for Ian because he'd
I'm
be
gonna
able
highlight
to tell you
that
exactly
for him
why.
Later, yeah. What do you wish could have been done? And I guess we already talked about that in the idea of like what were the plans originally before cancellation? You had the mama chop and like them hiding out.
Yeah, I wanted
everything.
to see all that. There was going to be something to do with. There was going to be more about Karma. We were going to find out a lot more about Karma. They were going to find out more about Monkey. I think there was something to do with either was it Monkey's dad or something. There was something. There was another member of Monkey's family. Whether it was going to come in, was going to come in as another mechanic. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
So then there would be Mama, you know. So then you'd get Mama Chop and Papa Monkey or whatever it is, like arguing in the background. And Pork Chop and Monkey in the foreground. Look at those guys arguing. You know, that kind of thing. There was like something like that was going to happen. But again, it would be over the course of 8 movies.
Yeah. That's good. And that answers where's there going to be an AcceleRacers 5? Everyone always wants the 5th one. And then I think, I don't remember, someone messaged you and you're like, no, it would have been a 2nd season. It wouldn't have been just one movie. It would have been a whole season because everyone's always like, where's the 5th movie?
Yeah, we would have done 4 more, I would imagine. I would have done, we would have done, 5, 6, 7, 8 would have been what it was. Or if they could have, if they would have paid for just like 2, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. Depends, but it was like, it would have been a good thing because we had all the stuff. We had the tech. the tech to do the tracks, and then the tech to do the pipe stuff, and then the tech to do, like, we had everything there. It would have been easy enough to do, but just some sort of
what kind of documentation did you have for that kind of thing, like concept art? Did y'all have, physical files or like a digital backup or something like that?
Yeah, they should have like all of the materials for the stuff, like, I mean, all the design stuff and all the stuff. I imagine it would be somewhere. I know Ian kept a lot of stuff. He was on it, like, obviously from the beginning and started the new design look and everything of it. So and I think he ended up commissioning artists who weren't necessarily Mattel artists at the beginning. Commissioned some like he was going wild afield. I think he got some tattoo artists, and I think he got some.
Yeah, we had. I just met. Oh, what was his name? Off the top of my head, I cannot remember. But I met him in LA. He won the Hot Wheels Legends tour, and actually, I found out he was in charge of the card game art, and it's because it's like his work on Star Trek and stuff like that. And like he had done a bunch of sci-fi art and everything, and so they got him and a whole team for the card art, which was separate from Mattel entirely, practically. And so they, put all this, art on the cards and everything. And hopefully I can release that interview at some point. But I apologize. Hopefully it'll be out before this.
No worries.
Yeah. So I guess to end off, you then go into Battle Force 5. There is a little bit of AcceleRacers in there. We kind of talked about it. I have the Old Smokey cameo. There's an Old Smokey cameo seen in season 1 and 2, apparently, from what my friends have told me. Were any elements, techniques, methods from AcceleRacers used or reused in BF5? Do you know?
I think they would have used any car rig, track rig. They would have used something similar to that, but it was, being a different studio, they would have probably had to make up their own.
So that means they had to create their own Old Smokey?
They had to create all of their own. They would have had to make all brand new assets. So they would have paid this new. So nothing would have been reused between.
That's incredible. So they created an entire truck for very small scenes. Oh, yeah. They would have built the
whole brand new thing over at Nerdcore. Yeah. Because they had like when I started there, I think Johnny Darrell was running the first season. And then I came in and took over that from him because I think he went to do Slugterra, start Slugterra.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So do you know if that was intentional by, you or somebody else, or was that just like somebody threw it in there because for just like, hey, I worked on this, I'm going to make this, and then throw it in there, because it's so sudden.
I don't know. I'll have to take a look.
Sudden. It's literally, I think his name is, whatever the UK guy is, he's about to drive off the lot.
I think his name's Stanford. Yeah.
Stanford.
I think it is.
And he drives Reverb, which is funny.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Different Reverb. And he's driving, and this truck just whizzes right by, honk, honk. And then it's got the Metal Maniacs logo and everything on it. I'm like, hold up, what was that doing in this film? And then, he's just yelling at him and stuff. It's like
that would have
almost
been
less than a
second.
second.
Sure. Yeah, they would have put that in. I wonder if that's like a homage. That would have been some sort of a homage between, because it would have been a different Mattel executive at that point too. Because Ian would have not been on that.
Yeah.
And I think it was a dude, Payton, I think was the exec on that one, if I remember correctly.
Interesting.
And I think he was new to Mattel at that time. He had been working on other things. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was new to Mattel, so he was kind of the new head of their entertainment division for boys.
Interesting. Lastly, did you have any, finale cut downs, rewrite things you did on BF5? If you remember, I know we didn't even plan on talking about this, but I thought I'd shout out, Jungle Penguins on these, so because he's really good and he's done a lot in the community for research purposes.
Battle Force 5 was a lot of fun to work on. It was the first thing I worked on at Nerdcore when I went over there, and it was the handoff from Johnny, who had been series directing it, to me. It was a little bit different. It was similar in a way that you had four episode directors underneath you. So they each had a line of like 8 animators, and they would make the show. It was their job to get it to get all the animation done. And as a series director on Battle Force 5, you controlled the storyboards.
Okay.
So basically, I would work with the storyboard supervisor. We'd go through and we'd plan out the whole episode, and then I'd deliver that boarded animatic to the director, have a handoff with them, and then it was their episode at that point.
Gotcha. Makes sense. No, I mean, like, it's interesting, and hopefully, Jungle, that helps you out. We're gonna end off now. I know it's crazy. We're gonna end on a speed round, and some of these might be a little bit. Hopefully, these are fast. So, what is your favorite team in AcceleRacers? I feel like we already know this, but what's your favorite team in AcceleRacers?
I guess I would probably have to say, I know Monkey's a Metal Maniac. So I'm probably going to have to say Metal Maniacs.
Metal Maniac. Yeah. Did you have a favorite character maybe other than Monkey? Because maybe
other than Monkey, it's funny. One of my favorite characters, and this might seem weird, is Lanny. I like the way that she, like, from where we went to where she was at World Race to bring her into AcceleRacers, and I like at the end of in Ultimate Race, when she's behind the control, she's pulling up the headphone, the lighting is going down, and she's working away. And I was like, she's got it. She's got it together. Yeah, but I think another character, I like Shirako a lot.
Yeah, the dance. You got to do the dance. You got to show off the dance.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It's got to become a Fortnite emote. Someone in Mattel. If you do a Hot Wheels, if you do the Hot Wheels collab, put the Shirako dance in there. Somebody
that
wants
would be
to
awesome.
see it.
Yeah,
that would be so cool.
Everything should be in a Fortnite at some point, right? Like it's all in there.
I know some people are going to be like, we don't want this in Fortnite. Yes, I kind of do, actually.
Let's race around. They got racetracks in there now.
I think it'd be hilarious fun. I really do. Oh, man. So what is your favorite vehicle in Hot Wheels as a whole? So any Hot Wheels, if you had a favorite Hot Wheels.
I think the one thing, I always remember in World Race, there was the one, it's like a dune buggy, but it's got like the Kaiser helmet on it. It's got the it's got the little spike on the top.
I'm trying to remember the name, but Red Baron.
Red Baron, yes. There's something about that vehicle because I remember in World Race, and I think it's in one of mine. It's at the starting line, and we're showing all the vehicles, and we were trying to show as many of the vehicles as we could, so that there was at least a shot of every vehicle in the line. And I remember going, I need to get in. My episode was when that vehicle got added to the line. Do you know what I mean? Like in Will's first episode, there was only X number of cars.
Right.
And in this one, we added, 10 more cars. So we wanted to highlight all those cars. And I remember there's a shot in that where I've got the guy driving and he has to bend down to look under the helmet.
Yeah, that's right. I remember.
Because it's just impossible to drive sitting out.
It's like, where am I supposed to be in this car? Why did I get this one? Like, out of all the cars he could have gotten, he got Red
Of all
Baron.
the cars he could get, or you showed up with this car?
Yeah.
It's like, really? This is what you thought was a good thing to bring to the race? Yeah. So that for like comedic reasons, I think. But I mean, I liked Monkey's car because it was kind of a station wagon.
Oh, the station wagon one. I was about to ask which one. Yeah, that one's good. Rolling Thunder. Rolling Thunder.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, I found this too. I was mentioning it the other day.
Oh yes, the Hollowback Toy Fair Hollowback. That's awesome.
That's the one. That's the one thing I still have.
That's good. That's fun because I don't even have that one. Those are expensive now.
Oh, are they?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was always disappointed. I wanted Monkey's car. Like if I could have got Monkey's car.
You know what's funny? His is probably the cheapest one out there. You could probably find it for pretty easy, honestly. If I'm honest, I think his is pretty easy to get. If you ever
find it, I'll swap you.
You'll swap me? For real?
No problem.
Hey, easy done deal. I know, guys. All right, you got it. I will do that. I'll take you up on that offer. And I'll even try to find some carded ones, because he has two, right? He has the like more hot roddy one, and then he gets the technically he has Spine Buster. That's true.
Yeah,
too.
that's Spine Buster. He takes it for a while, doesn't he? Yeah, he takes.
Yeah, he does take it for a while. Okay, we'll have to talk off air on that one for sure. Then for sure. Okay, there is a question from Slingshot Kurt 847, one of the members. He says, "Were there any bloopers that made it into the script, or even things that were scripted?"
There's a few. Most of the stuff was scripted. And then now the stuff that wasn't mostly would have been Pork Chop and Me.
Okay.
Would have been, because there was a lot of things where there was a lot of walla from Monkey. Walla is a term that we use in animation. It's for like, walla, that kind of, Eiss, that kind of sounds.
Yeah. Okay.
So we call that walla. And there was a lot of that for Monkey. You know what I mean? So a lot of times when I would do the stuff, I would also throw lines in there as opposed. Walla should be non-verbal. It's
Yeah. Okay.
Like sound exertions and stuff.
Right.
But I would also throw lines in there. So there's a couple of things that one I can think of is in the background. It's a little bit hard to hear, but it's when Kurt Wilde comes back and he's got his busted leg and he's working on the stuff. And then the music is playing and he comes over and then Kurt falls over, I think, or something. And then all the maniacs are laughing. And I think there's a wild, he does that kind of laugh. And then right after, there's a line of dialogue, and then right before the next character speaks, you can hear Monkey in the background go, "You see him fall over, right? You see him fall over there?" And that's all it is. Fall right over there. You know what I mean? And he's laughing. I'm still laughing. And I think when we recorded it, there was, we were making, like, okay, you're laughing at Kurt. He fell over, and I was doing that. You see him fall right over there. You know what I mean? So there's like, if you listen in there, you can hear me say, "Did you see him fall right over there?" And it's really kind of like, it's not hooked up to anything, so it doesn't really read, but I heard it for the first time listening to it again when I So that's one of the ones I can think of. I can remember just saying that, and then the editor's like slipping it in. So.
Oh, that's good. That's fun.
So that might be one. Yeah.
There you go. All right. Hope that helps, Slingshot Kurt. Gosh. Okay, what is your personal favorite movie from the series?
I think Will's. I guess 3 is one because it was so. It was much easier for me on that one. The first 2 were really hard to get done, and then the third one with Will in charge of it went a lot smoother. Yeah. And then the fourth one, but I think I would probably like the fourth one just because it's the one that I ended up directing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And it's got my character in it performing. And so I think I would say Ultimate Race, but it's a tie between Ultimate Race and Breaking.
Yeah, I forgot the giant, like he's trying to hold the steering wheel of the like sweeper. I forget about that. I was like, that's a crazy amount of length there.
And when they're driving along and he's just kind of like in wild. No, it's Nolo and Torque. It's like, you guys have been fighting this long, and that's
it.
That's it.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. That
he's trying to start something. Yeah.
He's like, "Are you kidding me? We had to deal with 3 episodes of this."
and you solved it that quickly.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Sometimes that's what happens.
Yeah. We should have just done that at the beginning. Yeah.
That's right. Okay. Do you remember doing the card game? The little card game explanation. There's a little animation with Monkey, and he's going against a drone. He's playing the card game, and he's explaining the rules and stuff like that. Did you have any direction over that and everything?
I think in that one it was sometimes on a lot of those things we would get the editor, or we'd give the editor a chance to direct. So they would get so a lot of the micro episodes, all those micro episodes, those were directed by the editors.
Okay.
So a lot of those were like whatever editor was on that show, he got to do the 2, maybe not the first one because they were really slammed, but ultimately down the line, the editors were the ones that were directing the micro episodes.
Oh, interesting.
So I think it was probably one of the editors, probably Syl, directed that. And other than that, I just had like an alarm going off.
There was an alarm. Are you okay?
I gotta go. Yeah.
I know.
No,
at the end too.
Someone's probably cooking. It's usually an alarm.
Okay. Oh, good. Okay. Okay, do you have a favorite realm from the show? Just any of them?
I think I liked Cosmic just because of the way it looked. I've always been a space fan, and it was just kind of like the Cosmic realm was a really nice looking kind of realm, and I think by then we had managed to do it well, so it was that. But I think another one for me would be I like the cliff side in the micro, and I like the we did a really good job on the Ruins realm.
Yeah. Oh my
for
gosh.
what a short
yeah,
thing.
That one was
I was like, we should
one.
have got that in one of the movies.
Yeah, that one was cool, especially the guitar riffs. Hey, that music was just bumping all the time.
Brian Carson,
Composing,
man, he's great.
he was good. He was good.
Yeah, yeah.
Everyone loves that da 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 da, and it's just
We
like
should
so
get him to
short.
release a soundtrack of just the music, of just the score music.
Yeah. Is that available somewhere?
I don't know. I should ask him. I do. Brian and I are still friends, so I can run into him from time to time. He lives over on up Gibson's on the coast now, so I don't see him that often. But
okay.
But I'll talk to him sometime, see if there's any way to get the music, because we used to get. Love that. I don't know if he did the music on Battle Force 5 as well. I can't remember.
Someone will answer in the comments, and I can text you or whatever happens on. Maybe whatever that ends up being, because that would be awesome actually if we could get like.
Well, he's great too, Brian Carson. He's just like he's a Vancouver's '80s punk scene. Do you know what I mean? He was like in a punk band. Do you know what I mean? Kind of thing. And then I met him through television production, and I remember when I went to go meet him to do this kind of stuff. He had this like small studio, like in kind of like a barn almost in the downtown core.
Oh
like,
wow!
It was that place. You're like, this is like a movie. Do you know what I mean? Like this is like one of those things where like somebody lives in this like rundown warehouse with stuff.
No!
But he had like a drum kit in the corner and a piano and a thing. You know, I mean, everything about it was music. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, this guy he's the real deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he really is the real deal. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Please reach out if that happens out. That would be awesome. And if he ever wants to come on, we can always talk music. I love that.
I bet you he'd do that. Bit. I'll mention it to him. Yeah.
Sweet. Thank you. I know this was a speed round. That one went a little bit longer. That's okay.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay. We got a little more information there. Do you think that there is room for a comeback in animation specifically for this type of series? Do you think that that's even feasible as far as cost and everything of nowadays animation? Of bringing something like this back?
I think content-wise, I think for sure, right? I mean, you look at the kind of like the types of shows that are out there now, that sort of darkness isn't necessarily, you know what I mean?
It's not very dark anymore. I mean, goodness.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's quite light comparatively to some things. But I think, it's a tough, like, it's tough now because nothing... Which again should be what helps it. It's like nobody wants anything that's not an original IP anymore. You know what I mean? Or like an existing IP.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Existing.
Yeah, so get Moana 2, Shrek 5, 6. Get another
Mustafa
2,
the Lion
3,
King. Like
5.
what is up with Mustafa
another Lion King.
Mufasa? Like it's the same story, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we get another
He's a little
King.
lion, and then he gets to be the king? Is that what the story is? Yeah, okay, cool. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't get it. I don't understand why they're not looking to new stuff. And I think, quite honestly, the audiences are going to get tired. I think you can already kind of see that people are getting the Marvel
kind of
movies.
Remakes.
The Marvel
all
movies
the
have
Marvels
kind of gone down in the terms of like people's engagement with them.
Right.
And
I don't even know if this new Captain America is even going to be good. I'm like, I don't know. I mean,
they waited so long, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. And it's like, I think people are going to be like, they want to see something new again. And I think we go through cycles like that, right? It was, back 1999. Look at the movies that came out in 1999. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, they're all about brand new things. There's not do you know what I mean? There might be... You know what I mean? And then, I love Star Wars. And I'm not talking anything bad about Star Wars. But the prequels came out in 2000. And since then, we look at like it's all, it's all existing IP.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's everything's gone into something that already exists.
And bought by somebody else and conglomerated into another thing and another thing and another thing.
Or it's a spin-off side thing.
Oh my goodness. All the spin-offs.
Thing, and it's just like... I think there's going to be, the saturation point is going to get to the audience that they're just going to be like, I don't want another version.
Can't keep up with it. Yeah.
I want a brand new thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully that'll come.
Hopefully so.
And AcceleRacers, it's been long enough that it could be a brand new thing. You know what I mean?
I think so. Yeah. No, I think so. It's also, I don't know. I mean, it was also very unique for its time, and it's also something that, I don't know, screams Hot Wheels at you. Because even World Race, I think back, I'm like, I would have been 3 or 4 when I watched it, and it's held with me forever. And some of the ideas I'm always thinking now is like, okay, if someone's 3 or 4 now and they're watching, you know, the content Hot Wheels produces, are they going to be fans for life? Or are they just fans because they're children and it's too, you know, cool toy car for a while? But then when they start growing up,
we all go through our dinosaur phase, right?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Everybody goes through a dinosaur phase.
Oh, yeah.
They love dinosaurs,
are you kidding
right?
me? Dinosaurs
but
are
you
awesome.
grow out of it. Some people grow out of it, and some people, you know, study dinosaurs for the rest of their lives. Right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I mean, it's just one of those things, and I always think, are they going to hold on to it? And I always hope that maybe they will. But with the kind of content that they're producing, I'm like, I don't know. Like, this is only my opinion, right? I'm just like, I don't know. It's just kind of like feeling like, I don't know. The 4th graders are kind of like, this is a little bit too young for me. I don't want to watch this, you know? As for AcceleRacers, I've shown that in stuff before to that age group, and they're like, oh, where's the rest of it? And I'm like, my bad.
I should have set this up better.
I might have should have told you there is no
actual
you
about the big disappointment you're gonna get.
That's right. Apologies, but you got something really cool out of it. So there you go.
You got the first half.
Yeah, the first half. Okay, well, let's end this thing off. Where can people find you on social media and more?
AndrewMonkeyDuncan.com is my portfolio site, so you can send me any messages there. I'm Monkey Duncan on Blue Sky and on X, I think. So those 2 places.
All right. Very good. And of course, you can follow me on pretty much everything under the sun. YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, X, Discord, and so many more. Just search up JayCee squared. That's JC squared, JayCee squared, like the math term. A huge shout out to the members that make this content possible. At the time of this recording, they are Aiden Winsky, Slingshot Kurt 847, AcceleRacers, Ratchet RPG 01, and Asher Logbeck. Thank you guys so much. And as of editing this episode on July 31st of 2026, thank you to members Citrus 3, Ratchet RPG 01, John T, Clown of Everywhere, Crazy Gamer, Atria, Alseg, SCF Official, Blissful Eliaku, Acceler 23 for also being a Square Gang Plus member, The White Backing, Aiden Winsky 10, Low GFM, Warlock Account, Qua, Newts, David A, Hyphen Track, Brandon Christopherson, and Neok 3 for my newest member. Thank you so much for 21 members, guys. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed this awesome episode. And also go to jclegoman10302.redbubble.com for any Teku merch you might like, or Metal Maniac, you know. Sorry, this is just my post credit scene, I guess. So thank you very much, and enjoy this final little bit. Do we
Fireworks.
have? Oh, there it is. There's the
Fireworks.
A huge thank you again to our sponsor, Lap 24 Coffee. And is there any possible way? Could I ask, could you say subscribe to JC Squared using Monkey's voice? I know.
I totally could.
Could you please do that?
I totally could. Hey, everybody. Let me get my voice. Monkey. There we go. Hey, everybody. Don't forget to subscribe to JC Squared.
Oh, that's so cool. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. That's awesome. Do you have any last thoughts for the audience here?
I'd just like to say, honestly, this has been a lot of fun over the last couple days talking to you about AcceleRacers and watching them again. And like, it's so gratifying to me to have you and all the other fans out there that are still enjoying the show or are still talking about it and loved it as kids or as young adults, whenever it was that you hooked into it. And I really appreciate it. And it really does it really touches me to know that people are still enjoying the content that we made so long ago. So this has been a lot of fun. You made me feel really good. I've been walking around on air ever since talking about the old times. So it's been really great. So thank you. And thanks to everybody out there. I really do appreciate it. Man,
thank you for just showing up as well and hitting me up and being like, let's do this thing. Because I was like really pumped. I was like, man, we're gonna be doing this. Awesome. Let's do this. Like,
2025 is the year of doing things. I decided. I was like, I'm calling them up right now on the 3rd or whatever it was of February and let them know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm glad
That was
do
good.
It. It's awesome.
Thank you so much. Well, with that, we are riding old Smokey out of here. Hit the Nitrox 3.5. Thank you for watching, and can't wait for more awesome 20th anniversary content for AcceleRacers. Be here, be squared for more. Closing out this 4-part series. Goodbye.
So long, everybody.
This has been the Squared Corner Podcast. Music composed by Steve Rockett. Video and audio recording by Riverside.fm. Video and audio editing by JayCee Squared. Logo art by Alison Segovia. And lastly, supported by you, the viewer. Thank you.